The wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Welcome to Dragonmount. I'm Kathy Campbell.
I'm Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr.
And we're back. Here we are.
After such a long time, right?
We've been gone
Way too long.
forever. When we started the podcast, we kind of made the decision to keep it to the show itself. But we did share a couple special, interviews. So if you've missed those, definitely go back into the feed and check them out, especially our interview with Thom and I, where we spoke with Rafe Judkins, who, I don't know, do you guys know who he is? I'm not sure.
Oh, he has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Remind me,
the showrunner, of course, of The Wheel of Time. So exciting. It was an honor to be able to speak with him and ask so many burning questions. And we should have a short little episode where I was lucky enough to speak with 5 of the stars of the show. But I'll leave that list quietly.
So jealous. Oh, I'm so jealous.
I know. It was amazing. The quickest 5 minutes ever, but just so incredible.
Best 5 minutes ever.
Best 5 minutes. Yes. We are back because we are going to do kind of a season 2, what we think is going to happen. We wanted to kind of leave this episode to closer to the show, mainly so that we would have a trailer, because anytime in the past until the trailer, there was no guidance. There wasn't a way to really make true guesstimates of what was going to happen. And so this way we have a little bit of structure, but not too much. So we are going to go through kind of each of the characters and kind of see what we think is going to happen to them in the overarching story as a whole, especially because we saw them pretty separated, not just at the end of season 1, but in the trailer, there's not a whole lot of them hanging out together. So as always, we are going to start with show-only references. There will be a spoiler horn when we will let you know that we're going to be talking about the books a little bit. So if you have not read the books, that is totally fine. If you want to get an idea of kind of what happens, make sure to check out Dragonmount.com because it does have chapter summaries of each chapter of the book. So if you don't want to read all 14 massive novels, you can just read some chapter summaries, which could get you a good idea. Or you can just keep watching the show, which is also an option.
I thought the spoiler horn you were talking about was going to be used on me, so okay. It's to alert the audience. Okay, got it.
Yes, for the audience, because I don't know, Rajiv, have you read the books?
Oh, I might have glanced through them. Yeah, I'm an avid book
just
lover
a couple,
and,
yeah.
Read them through several times.
Yes. So if you are just joining us now, welcome to the show. Welcome to Dragonmount. Some of you may be new here and haven't gone back to listen to the beginning, which is totally fine. Of course, if you want to listen to season 1, you are, of course, more than welcome. Okay, shall we jump right in?
Let's jump in. Those characters, where do we see them last? What's going to happen?
All right, so let's start with the main character, Moiraine. The end of season 1 was a little bit of an impact for her because she seemed to be not able to access the one power and clearly seemed a little bit distraught.
This is a tough one, and I have no idea where this is going, because we're kind of in uncharted territory with this.
Yeah.
So, we do see, at least in the trailers, that she is kind of lamenting the loss that she's had. There's that beautiful scene recalling the first season in the bathtub. And she's no longer able to heat the water, and just this little private moment where you see her loss. But, she's a fighter, and we know that she just powers through whatever situations are going through. The question is, where is she going to be? And I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so intriguing about it, is that She can literally go anywhere right now, and we have
Except one place,
no
right?
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Except
Good point.
Tarvalon.
Yes, except one place. Yeah. But it's such an interesting dynamic for the character, and even for Rosamund Pike to be able to build this more than it was in the books. I mean, not book spoilers right now, but like digging deep to find out how Maureen's feeling right now in this challenge, that's new to us, I think is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. And at least we know that Lan is by her side.
Yeah.
And he's trying to be supportive. He's saying, you're not going to do this alone. So she's still intent on mission, even though she's lost her powers seemingly. But he's found her again. He's reunited with her, and he's going to have her back. But
yeah, their relationship doesn't necessarily, yes, we know that there is I'm going to just use the word magic just because it's the easiest way to, translate that. But we know that there is a magical bond between an Aes Sedai and their warder. And even without that magical bond, however, there is the connection, because anytime you travel for decades with anybody, let alone, saving each other's lives, you're gonna bond in the lowercase b. You're gonna bond, and you're gonna care about each other. And the suffering that Lan has got to be feeling, because he can't fix this. This isn't just somebody that he can kill for her, has got to be exhausting.
Yeah. I loved how they spent a lot of time in the first season kind of establishing that these are two characters who know each other really well.
Yeah.
And even beyond the warder bond, which allows them to sense each other's feelings and things like that, even the way they fought was two people who know each other's moves, who can kind of get in sync with each other and really, execute the mission. And so I feel like there's going to be an arc of just relearning all of that, because they could feel each other. So now it's more falling back on their experience with each other, like you said, but without that sort of thing that's probably become second nature, that warder bond. So it'll be interesting to see if they stumble a little bit as they're going through their journey.
Yeah, how it affects their relationship, for sure. All right, well, let's get into the next main character, Rand. What do you think is going to happen with our dragon buddy?
That's a hard one. It's so. I mean, he's doing something with the Aiel, right? He's got to be.
Is he?
Is he?
Yeah, so from what I gleaned from the trailer, and they cut these things to be misleading, I know that.
Yes.
But I know at the end of season 1 he was wandering off somewhere, and we thought I think we all mentioned it last season that maybe he's going into the Waste, he meets the Aiel there, all of that kind of stuff. Or is he going into the Blight, or is he following the caravan that Min is in, leaving the city? We had no idea. But what we do know, from the trailer at least, is that he's going to meet a certain woman who is going to have a powerful influence on him.
And this is a light spoiler for the books. We're just going to put this out to kind of describe a little bit of who Lanfear is. But even in the books, we never really know if it was a returned relationship.
Sure.
I think it was. When Rand one time has like a little bit of an episode where she's like, "Oh, you loved me," and he's like, "And you loved power."
You loved power.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I
a
think
good point.
I think he would have countered with something a little bit more like, "No,
that's
I
a
didn't."
Good point.
Like, shut up, bitch. Oh, sorry. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, no swearing. Jeez.
Sorry.
I think
that's a good point.
duty.
That's a good point.
It's fair to say, though, that Lanfear knows at least who she thinks Rand is more than Rand knows anything about who this woman is, who Lanfear is. And you know, in the preview at least, we start to see him wearing fancy coats, kind of swaggering around and using the power in a way that looks like he kind of knows what he's doing. So, you know, has Lanfear coached him along the way? But one interesting thing, and I thought this was very interesting, was that at least the preview shows that Rand connects with Logain as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I was
so
wondering
excited.
if Lanfear engineered that, you know, getting him a little mentor so he can be at the level she needs him to be.
Yeah, maybe.
That's interesting.
We don't know, really,
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
I mean, I'm hoping that we get all of our character threads converging at the end.
That'd be nice.
And I think that'll happen, but, you know, if from the previews we see sort of city environments, desert environments, different cities at play. So yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, a lot to get done. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the desert scenes, and what I remember from the trailer is that very striking image of Rand bound to the wheel, or a wheel.
A wheel.
And he's like, and later on he's actually talking with the Amerlin seat and telling her he doesn't want to be chained to the wheel like that. And she says, "You're the water that turns the wheel. Are you kidding?" So
yes. And too, there's the deserty city that he's coming up against someone to fight. So he's all over the place. He's in, you know, a fancy lush area where Logain is, and then in the desert, and in the desert in a city, different desert, same desert. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's learned how to get around faster, or if we're just going to have some time lapses between the episodes.
Yeah, who knows? All right, what about Matt? We know season 1 brought some challenges with the character when they switched out actors in the middle of the season, or I guess at the end of the season, and we have a new Matt. And I just scrolled through again, and I don't see Matt at all in the trailer.
I think there's one scene where the dagger from Shadar Logoth is in front of him on a table.
Oh, that might be it. Okay.
Which really surprised me, because we last saw that dagger in the hands of Padon Fane, who supposedly killed Loyal and Uno and a bunch of other people, and that's when Perrin went off after him. But Matt is a complete wild card, more than Moiraine and Lan. I really don't know what they're gonna do, because they've implied that he is somehow fallen to the shadow or on the side of the shadow in some way at the end of season 1. So, what role is he really going to play? And with the dagger reappearing, is that still going to have an influence? When he was when Moiraine separated him from it, I thought that was the end of the arc. But maybe not. And so what's his relationship with Padon Fane?
And how will what he knows from the dagger, like how will that relationship with the dagger, like it basically what we're saying is it's complicated. It's his relationship on Facebook it's complicated.
Now I'm picturing a little Matt icon, a little dagger icon.
Yes.
All right.
No, but I thought there was more of Matt in the trailer, or some other images or something that has been released, because I thought I remember seeing him.
One of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, at the White
Tower.
Because
we're looking at the business end of a quarterstaff.
Yes.
And behind it is Matt. So we'll talk about that in the book chat.
Yes.
But,
what
he's
was
doing
that?
Something.
Was that a still? or in the video?
It was like just a brief flash.
Okay. I was like, I know I saw it.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's so many going on. It's hard to say. So much going on. So much. Yeah, that's exciting though. To get more Matt and see how Donald Finn does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope they make at least one reference like, you've changed. Have I? Okay.
They're not gonna.
I know.
That would be that. Like, you just are gonna ignore it, and that'll be fine.
And that's okay.
I lived through Darren Stevens on Bewitched, different incarnations, so I can handle this.
Right? Speaking of you've changed, let's talk about Perrin, who has a visual change in the trailer that we've seen a little bit in season 1.
That's right.
What's going on there?
Yeah. So we had a flash of that when he was a prisoner of the White Cloaks in season 1.
Yes.
And he got mad enough and his eyes flashed golden and, all of us who've read the books know what that means. But we also see that he's got a connection with wolves. And
Indeed.
It seems that from the trailer that we're going to be getting more into that, exploring that. I think what's interesting is that in season 1, he basically got... He let his violent instincts go, and it scarred him. He killed his wife. And then he met the Tinkers, who taught him a different way, the way of the leaf, pacifism. And he said, okay, maybe this is the way to go. And then Padan Fain comes into the stronghold at the end of season 1, and Perrin could have picked up a weapon. He didn't.
Yes.
And his friends were seemingly killed. The Horn of Valir, the thing that's supposed to summon the dead heroes for the last battle, was taken by the Shadow, was taken by Padan Fain. And now Perrin's in a situation where he said, well, I do one thing and it's disaster. I do another thing, it's disaster. Right. What do I do?
What do I do? Yeah. And he's got to find some sort of balance, you know? It's a big story in the series as a whole, is this idea of balance, light and dark, violence versus peace, the way of the leaf. And I think it really comes into Perrin, especially if you add into the fact of Perrin being human and wolf.
Yeah. It's the Steppenwolf dichotomy, which is wonderful.
Yes.
The wild man versus the civilized man.
Yes.
And all of these themes are wrapped up into that, which I love.
Yes. And with Perrin comes Loyal, because we know that Loyal is headed off with Perrin. He's still alive.
He's still alive. I mean, I was watching, obviously in the last episode, he is stuck by that dagger, and that dagger is not good news. Yeah. And so I think I was looking at the first trailer, and there was no mention of Loyal. And I thought, well, okay, they cast this guy to play Loyal. They're not going to get rid of him all. But I was worried for my boy. I love Loyal.
Right?
But he's there. A little worse for wear, maybe. But
I think they're all a little bit worse for wear, to be honest.
Yes. But it does look like Perrin, on his way, meets up with some Aiel.
Yeah.
Including a major character who was cast. Ayula Smart, is that her name?
Yep, Ayula Smart. Our Avienda. There's a scene with Avienda and Perrin hanging out in a city. And Avienda gets shufa'd, shall we say.
Yeah.
And it's exciting because we're getting the Aiel. They're coming in and hanging out with at least Perrin to start with. I can't wait.
It's going to be great. We saw
the Aiel are some of my favorite, and I just can't wait.
And in season 1, we saw one Aiel, Rand's mom.
Yep.
And she was a complete badass.
Yes.
But she was also pregnant at the time, which I guess
right,
makes her even more
badass. Growing a human.
But we're going to see Avienda now. Maiden of the Spear, and it's gonna be awesome. It looks like she's tussling with some white cloaks. Is that it, or we couldn't tell from the trailer?
We don't actually see who she's fighting, but they're not. I'm betting that they're not going to live for very long. That's just me.
No.
Yeah, just real quick before we move off of Perrin, in this trailer, it does show him interacting with a little girl who's running around with him.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of that?
She's
What's
holding
your theory?
a sword. We saw in season 1 that the Dark One, quote unquote, was sending dreams to the boys and was killing the rats, and they were having these nightmares. And then Rand saw one with him and Egwene and the baby. And so I wonder if this might be something like that for Perrin. Like, oh, here's your life, how it could have been. You know, him as a dad laughing with this little girl, and she's playing around with the sword, and his smile is so happy. He just looks so happy.
So happy that it makes it even sadder to think that it's not true.
Well, that's the thing. I was wondering if maybe it was a memory. Otherwise, does
like
he have sisters?
He's got a lot. Adora, and Nadine or Nad. No, that's Matt. Those are Matt's sisters. But anyway, he's got like
at least in the books,
brothers.
He has siblings.
Yeah,
we don't know.
That's
for
a good
sure.
point.
Yeah, we don't know for sure in the show, but it could be a sibling. It could be a dream. It could be we don't know, but we'll find out in the next couple weeks. Next few weeks, next several. It's so exciting.
And I think that'll be so important to see that side of Perrin as, a nurturer and caregiver, because we've, so far seen nothing but suffering for Perrin from
suffering
the very first
and depression.
episode.
Yeah.
And
just
bad choices that, were made in good faith but turned out bad. But he's a powerful character. He's a wonderful character. He's an honorable and moral character who really wrestles with ethics. And I just, I want my boy to be happy.
Yeah. Yes.
Not too soon, but
right. Eventually, everyone's gonna be happy, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
We'll just
Happily
pretend.
ever after.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move over to Tar Valon, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of things going on there.
Catch up with our girls. A little bit of Nynaeve, a little bit of Egwene, a little bit of our new Elaine.
Yeah, new face, another redhead.
Yes. So Nynaeve, we see her at one point fighting with the sword against people, which has put lots of people up in arms. Like they don't know her character very well, which, okay.
I mean, in the show, she has killed a Trolloc with a sword she stole off the Trolloc. So she's got the she can do things. With weaponry.
And especially because she can't always depend on the power.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that she would want to be able to do things with her hands.
Yeah. Now, is that something I don't quite remember? Is she officially blocked? Does she have to get angry to use the one power in the show?
Not that they've talked about.
We haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
Because the only real release of power that we saw was when she brought Lan back to life, and in that cave, but there was they didn't really talk about it after.
Yeah, and that wasn't anger.
She was part of a circle at the end. She linked with others, and they were fighting back the Trolloc hordes. Which didn't end well until it did, which I'm still a little confused about, but
hopefully we'll get some more information maybe. That's right. So I don't know actually, because obviously she's in the tower, so they know that she can channel. Okay, so what about our other favorite novice, Egwene?
Yeah. We see her fighting in the trailers, and we can kind of I think it's shown that these invaders that came in at the end of season 1 are people who have channelers on, collared and gagged, and
there's a shot too of Egwene all beaten up wearing one of those collars.
Getting a collar. Yeah. So, looks like she's going to be doing some serious combat, some serious wielding of the power. We see some fireballs. We see her like throwing air. Is that it? And pushing a bunch of people back. Something like that in the trailer. I couldn't tell, but
I think fire maybe, because 1 minute and 18 is where the other people fire.
Yeah.
And then 119 is where it looks like a fire blast comes from her heart.
Okay.
And then right after that, Nynaeve has a big lightning and air explosion.
Yeah. But so that's interesting. They are mixing it up with the Shan, but they're supposed to be in the tower, right? What's going on there?
What's happening? We'll find out.
We also see Liandrin in the tower, and it looks like she is at that forge where they make the rings.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's also a scene of her sneaking around
the
city.
And one of the things we saw, I don't know if we want to go there yet, but there's a bonus scene at the end of the finale of season 1, which does something famous from the book, or adapts it in a way, the Dark Friend Social. And it's a gathering of people devoted to the dark, and it's led by...
We're assuming that it's people devoted to the dark. They're all hooded, and they're hanging out with the man.
With the man and with Padanfane. Padanfane is one of them, and he is
also known as Ishmael, one of the Forsaken, which now he's named Ishi, but before it was always the man.
The man, or the Dark One. They thought it
or
was
the Dark One.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
And
his name is
the
James
second
now.
trailer disabused us of that fact. It was the Dark One's strongest lieutenant has been freed. Of course,
Yes.
Lanfear would probably argue that point, but
Yeah.
we'll let them fight it out. Actually, I'd love to see them fight it out.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. No, they're just going to be subtle and, make their whatever drama together.
So that's interesting. At the end of season 1, Ishmael tricked Rand essentially into channeling a whole bunch of the power to break a seal, and that is what freed him. Mm-hmm. Like, he could appear in visions, he could appear in dreams, but now he's free, apparently.
Yes.
Can he, in turn, go around and channel a whole bunch and free the other Forsaken? Can he free the Dark One on his own? Or is there something about needing Rand to do that? Because Rand is one of the...
good question. And I think it's safe to assume that it doesn't necessarily have to be Rand, just because we did see Lanfear, aka like the bloody, dripping swamp creature.
And then the pretty lady.
Yeah. But to be fair, no one really knows that those are the same people.
True. Although we do know the casting, and we know what
the casting. Like. Yeah. So if you're paying attention, you can kind of infer some things. But so some awareness there. But in that scene at the end of episode 8, which has been confirmed to be the first cold open scene in episode 1 of season 2.
Cool.
There's because of course the amazing community has detectivized things, and they see the symbols on the ground.
Yes.
With triangles that have different designs. Seems to be 8 corners, which also matches up with the 8 little statues that were in the little altar.
Oh, yeah.
In the altar. There's a crack through one of them, and it looks like there might have been a crack starting to go towards the second one, which could infer the crack towards Lanfear. Maybe.
Oh, no, that is a good bit of detective work. So, can we say that is a seal? Another seal?
I think we could. That would be a good guesstimation to make.
So each of the Forsakens are sealed with one seal?
Possibly,
yeah.
Interesting.
Or at least the cracks are directed in such a way. You know, our very own Thom DeSimone has a wonderful theory that was actually backed up in the recent book that was released about the mythology behind the Wheel of Time. And it seems that an early draft had the 7 seals around the Dark One's prison be actual physical locations, not just objects, but locations. And there was sort of, they ringed the Dark One's prison in Shale Ghul. And so I wonder if this is like that.
Yeah. Kind of like pulling that in from, the origins, but also a way to make it new, which again, we've talked about this before. It's so exciting to have new stuff for the Wheel of Time. Like to not come in and know exactly what's going to happen. I never thought it was going to happen again. And here we go. We have so many guesstimations that we can do. That's just so exciting.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite things to do is guesstimate about Wheel of Time.
But
one thing, going back to the seals being places, that would have happened in the Age of Legends, and then the breaking would have scattered them. So is that going to be like the main focus? Is the Dark Ones trying to find where they got scattered to?
Maybe.
That could very well be.
I don't know.
And now that Ishamael is free, he's going to be able to do a lot of that. Now, does he want the other Forsaken free?
Yeah, I would doubt he would. Like, he doesn't want them to be competition, but he needs the Dark One out.
But he needs the support. Yeah.
And if he's more or less in charge, then if they acknowledge his supremacy as the first lieutenant, basically, then he can convey the Dark One's orders. And I think they even do this in the trailer. They say that they want to use Rand. They want to use the dragon.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to kill him, but they're trying to make his life hell.
Yes, miserable. Absolutely miserable. We haven't talked about another member of the White Tower yet. Elaine, we know shows up. I don't remember seeing her in other than a little flash, I think, right before the fire bursts out from Egwene. We see a redhead in white run behind her, but I think that's
she's
it.
Also in a White Tower cellar scene.
Okay.
And, they're just channeling. I forget who was in the foreground, but she was kind of behind. It was either Nynaeve or Egwene.
Gotcha.
And they were channeling. It looked like they were just doing novice exercises, or maybe trying to, exploring the cellars there as they do.
Yeah.
There's also one. Looks like they might be in a room or something. Egwene's angry and talking to Elaine, and it shows Elaine's face, and she looks a little upset or at 1:31.
Oh, it starts early, huh? All
yes. Right. I'm excited. She's perfection. Being able to interview her, just was amazing because she just pulls that vibe together. She feels like Elaine even when she's Kira, which is just magic. I feel like we say this so much every time, but the casting for this show is just incredible.
It is really good.
Oh, the casting is so good. So good. So other than the fact that it has been confirmed that there will be no Tom Marilyn in the show in season 2. Sorry, not in the show.
Makes me sad. I like him, but he didn't have that much of a role in Book 2, so that's fine.
He just kind of showed up and sang a song and left, and that's okay. Well, we don't know if he'll show up in season 3 or in the future, but we will, I guess, find out. Yep. Which seems to be a common refrain for this show right now.
I liked his dynamic with Matt in season 1.
Mm-hmm. It was really sweet.
He's sort of this older mentor who kind of knows this rascally guy, this mischief maker, this guy who's sort of a loose cannon. You get the feeling that he's been that guy before and just wants to impart some wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that was resurrected, I'd like that.
Especially because Matt didn't really have a father figure.
Right. Totally.
So it's even more meaningful to have this moment with Thom and Matt and keep that friendship going in the future. So maybe it'll happen in season 3. So one final, epic Tarvalonian, which is totally the real word to call that, is Swan.
We totally need to talk about the Amyrlin seeds.
Yeah. Shows up several times in the trailer, being her epic self.
Yeah. So she's meeting with very important characters. She's meeting with Moiraine again, and we don't know the circumstances of that, although, I don't know, I thought they looked young.
Yeah.
Well, and their hair was down. And like,
Suwan's wearing blue.
Well,
she wouldn't wear blue.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. But
As
in blue.
She wouldn't wear blue. Yeah, so it's got to be a flashback.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So when they were young and her relationship with Moiraine and, maybe some of what they saw back that started Moiraine on this path.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
They've been conspirators for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we see that. We also see her confronting Rand. And Rand is... he's not cowed by the Amyrlin seed. He is... he's standing up to her. He's acknowledging that he is the dragon, or at least that people think he is. And she is also acknowledging that. She says that he's the water that turns the wheel. And their confrontation is one that, it looks almost as equals. Or at least Rand isn't bowing and scraping in this encounter.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to know that like we do see Rand and Swan in the same like scene framed together, so that they're actually talking to each other.
Yeah, it's not
and
just
then the lighting is the
cutting.
same. Yeah, the lighting is the same with Swan, less smoky, of course, because it's on her face, but like the lighting is the same, which is important to like to infer and guesstimate that this is done with like in real life.
Right. We have exhaustive courtroom proof that this is a scene that happens. Awesome.
Hashtag not a lawyer.
Not a lawyer. But yeah, it's an important scene. It's a revelatory scene because these are the stakes. These are the important people in the world, the powerful people in the world, saying, "Yeah, this is what's happening." And Rand is at an interesting place here, where on one hand he's having visions of himself tied to a wheel. I assume they're visions, but he doesn't want to be a prisoner of that, and he's basically doing the Joseph Campbell thing of chafing against his destiny still. Suan Sanche, of course, wants him to fulfill his destiny because that's what's going to save the world.
Yep.
So important stuff happening. I don't know when it will happen in the course of the season, though. That feels like a very late type of interaction, and has wandered around a bit and encountered Lanfear. So, how early or late does this encounter happen? I don't know.
I don't know, and we'll find out. Which again,
very soon.
Indeed.
I'm sorry, I keep saying that. I don't mean to, but also,
not too much longer.
We'll see.
So the last character that we kind of wanted to talk about is Min. What do we think?
Well,
we all know that she's going to have a further part to play. And
she knows that too.
She knows that
auras.
too. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on like where was that caravan going from the Borderlands.
Yes.
And you know, if you look at the map and you look at sort of you know, at the end the invaders show up on the western coast, I believe, and the Borderlands where she was near Tormund's Gap was all the way on the east. I don't think her caravan was moving that far to go all the way there, so I don't think that's where her threads will meet back up with the others.
Yeah, I agree.
But, you know, Tar Valon is not that far away. So maybe that could be the stop, and she could connect with Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene in the tower. But why would she be in the tower? There's a question.
Because again, we don't know where
refugees.
the caravan is going. So shall we switch over to book spoilers?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Actually, I had one question for Maureen first.
Oh,
maybe.
of course.
Yeah.
Maureen, you're the costumer here. You're the person who works with costumes. I think the new element that's been added are the invaders. And elaborate, like, jewelry and clothing and, well, frankly, bondage gear. What was your take there? Was that how
I know all about that.
Was that what you... What was this rendition what you expected? Because
No.
I kind of even saw things from the show adaptation of Handmaid's Tale even. So I was curious to hear your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, they made it look so much more exotic, I think. I think they're just going way over the top to be so exotic, so different from what we know, and so obvious that they're, you know, invaders and their way of life is different, and the bondage is so apparent, not just this tiny little necklace and a tiny little leash. It's like gags in their mouth and these big, like, things on their chests, and it's, I don't know, grotesque. And they're going for that shock value.
Even the leaders are all like masked and veiled and long nails.
Yeah,
and,
it's so much more epic. Speaking of costumes, though, we see everyone is wearing more clothes, or like different clothes than they had in season 1. I know that was a common refrain and complaint from a variety of people that each of the characters only had one outfit. Moiraine only wore one outfit, well, with the exception of like a fancier dress version, but like all of this traveling and all of, you know, these rich people and all of the layers that they're just wearing the same outfit. And we see everyone is kind of in different clothing. Obviously the novices are only in white, but they have the aprons over the top and stuff. But we see Moiraine in new outfits. I think we see Lan in different outfits.
Yeah, he's in a couple.
Perrin in different outfits. I think it's hopeful that the budget was put into costuming.
Yeah, definitely.
In a new way. And one of the other What Wednesday things that they released was some close up and like some sketches of costumes from the costume designer, which had some incredible, deep, rich details of like Swan's Amirlin outfit, and then more of the Shanshan and Moraine's new outfit. And I'm just like, so excited. I want more. Show me more.
Yes, very much so.
And Rand is wearing fancy coats now.
Yes.
And, you know, in the books, that was a plot
No
point.
clothes.
But yeah, absolutely. It's great to see the budget being used that way.
Yeah, very much so. Is it appropriate to go into a little bit of discourse, I've heard, as far as the Shanshan and costuming? I saw some corners of the fandom are upset with people that might cosplay a Soldam and a Damani. And it's interesting because I have cosplayed as a Soldam and the Damani the year at JordanCon when we had the return.
Oh, yeah.
And then now, like, seeing it in a kind of different light, now that it's on the screen and it's so obviously, referring to other types of people that have been held against their will, it is a little bit more risque and off. So I wonder if that's something that we need to start thinking about.
That's a rough
like
one
how far do you
because-
take it? Because it's
yeah.
fiction, but at the same time it's kind of insensitive. So I think that puts us costumers in a kind of difficult place.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you're just talking about the kind of regalia there, on one hand, don't kink shame, but if you're talking about the characters, this isn't kink. This is slavery. It is explicitly slavery in the story.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know how you deal with that. That's a minefield I'm not willing to cross.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation to have as a whole from everything. Like at what point is, I mean, we're going to be blatant here. It can, bring up a conversation about, hey, y'all, I don't know if you know this, but slavery's bad.
Well,
we're just throwing that out there.
Yeah. And I wonder if there have been analogous situations to The Handmaid's Tale. And I don't know if anyone has ever cosplayed The Handmaid's Tale. I think they have at protests. But at protests, that's a different context. It's drawing attention to the bondage and servitude, to make a point. As a fan expression, boy, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's just really tricky. So I just wanted to throw that out there, something to consider, because I saw that and I was like, oh wait, but I've cosplayed as a Soldam, and it wasn't done in a way to be awful. It wasn't like. Yeah. But I can totally see how people would be like, yeah, that's really gross.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. All right, so now I think we can ring that spoiler horn.
Okay,
horn,
yes.
Do you think?
Please.
Okay,
yes.
Spoiler horn. Book stuff ahead.
Yes, I think we're definitely going to talk about the first 3 books, and probably some other little hints in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, me first.
Okay, Maureen, do you have anything to say about the books?
Yeah, so there's one scene in the trailer that caught my eye, and it could be 2 different things, and I was just curious what we all thought. So it looks like it's at 120 in the trailer, 121. It looks like people riding horses across sand, but I'm wondering if it's people riding horses in the clouds.
That is the first thing I thought of as well.
Interesting.
Because it wouldn't be the Aiel on horses. They don't ride horses.
Definitely not. Could it be the children? I don't see many white cloaks there, but
doesn't look white.
They have. I think it was Rafe that actually posted this, but someone associated with the show said that there is going to be a giant battle. At the end.
So I just paused it at 122.
Okay.
And I'm looking in, and I am seeing shiny silver and like
a silver bow, perhaps.
No.
Oh, okay.
And white cloaks is what it does look like.
It does look like white cloaks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it looks like there's everyone kind of has a shoulder piece, like a little bit higher up. So I would guess white cloaks.
Yeah. I mean, we can be explicit here. We're talking about the heroes of the Horn.
Yeah. As a possibility.
As a possibility. At the end of the book, it happens to be Matt, and this is a question I have, whether it will still be Matt or anybody at all, blows the Horn of Valir because they're trapped between 2 impossible to face armies, the Shanchan, the invaders, and the White Cloak army, and they say, well, where's the rule that says you can't summon these guys before the last battle? And so Matt blows the horn, a mist fills the landscape, and dead heroes from across the ages come riding out or flying out or, just amassing, and they make quick work of both the other armies. And that has consequences then. Matt becomes a person of interest for having blown the horn. And so, the question is, are they all going to assemble at this place called Falme, where the invaders have landed, and the White Cloaks are, they're not friends with these invaders. They want to throw them out too, but they also want to, they fight with the one power. So, they're automatically bad guys in the White Cloaks' eyes. And then smashed between these two forces are our heroes who have all had separate threads that have led them to this place. So, the information that there's going to be a big battle at the end sure sounds like that's how we're going to end season 2.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's what is going to occur, and it's going to be epic, and I cannot wait. What a good way to kind of bring everybody together again.
It'll be fun. Now, here's the thing. Do you think it's going to be Matt blowing the horn? I think it's going to be Perrin.
Really?
Yeah. Only because I don't know how Matt gets there.
Listen, it's magic.
It's magic.
Yeah, and Perrin already has so much going for him, and Matt doesn't.
Yeah.
That's fair. But
I think it would really minimize Matt as a character.
Yeah.
If he didn't blow the horn.
There's so much that they're doing though with Matt that seems to be different. Like, I think they're turning him into a Dark Friend, at least for a time. I think he's going to be in the Dark Friend councils, maybe not in the Dark Friend social, but
really,
I think they're going to do something different and weird with him.
I think they're doing it as a red herring, like you're going to think he's going to turn.
Yeah,
there's no way.
See that way more.
They've surprised me with the things they've done in the show that have diverged.
No, that's true.
So
that's true.
Yeah,
I'm not willing to write out anything yet.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. And I could see it too being more of a red herring thing now that we don't have the Who's the Dragon vibes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think it's it'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that interested me was that Padan Fain was at the Dark Friend social, which you've confirmed is going to be at the beginning of the season.
Yes, and for the record, they confirmed it too.
Okay, so that means the Horn of Valir is already potentially in Ashamael's hands. But we've already seen that Ashamael is standing next to the Shan-Shan as well and kind of like nudging them in directions. So, they're already around in Falme, perhaps. What I don't know is how, if Fain had the dagger, how Matt gets it at least in front of him. On the table.
Well, okay, now bear with me. It has been a while since I've seen the last few episodes, or any of them at all, actually. Do we see? Yes, we are. Stay tuned. Oh, good. Let's pimp that out. August 26th, we will be having a marathon, watching all of the episodes together from season 1 to get you prepped for the next week for season 2 premiere.
It'll be crazy.
So come and check it out with us, hang out with us. It'll be a lot of fun. Do we see Fain with the dagger leaving?
No. We see him leaving the throne room
at the end of
but we
season
don't
1?
see him.
Yeah,
we don't see him escaping.
But like,
I thought he had it in his hand. I thought he's the one.
Yeah, but
we see him stab our friends Uno and Loyal.
But that doesn't mean he successfully got away. Because Nynaeve did her awesome stuff with the one power. He might have been stunned. He might have been thrown sideways. He might have, there's so many different things.
There's no visual proof Listen, we're going deep. We're going deep right now.
Yeah.
Visual proof of him walking away with the dagger.
Although I will offer, if the Dark Friend Social is the first scene in season 2, then there's a lot of important stuff that happened intervening then if he lost the dagger.
Yeah.
Agree to that?
Yes.
Okay.
I can agree to that.
Now, there may be flashbacks and stuff like that, or who knows. Maybe even the Dark Friend Social is a flashback, because all of the other cold opens have been that way, right? They've been atemporal to the plot.
Mm-hmm. Or the beginning of
Oh my God. And how far before then? Who's that little girl? Could she be a player now?
Ooh. Yeah.
That's
Who knows? Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. Okay, so more book stuff. So we know Lanfear is also Selene, which it's safe to infer that the woman getting cuddly with Rand is not going to introduce herself as, "Hi, I'm Lanfear. I'm a frickin' Forsaken." Pretty safe to assume that.
That name,
right?
Coincidental. My parents had such a sense
Yes.
of humor.
Yeah, I think we're pretty safe to assume that.
Yeah.
So I think this is kind of taking place instead of the weird mirror worlding that we see in the books, which I'm actually grateful for. That was, I mean, it's interesting, and it builds the idea of the mirror worlds, which builds on the wolf dream versus like all of this stuff that takes place in the future.
Yeah,
but I don't
Aelfin and the Eelfin. It all's intermixed.
It's all intermixed, but I definitely don't think it needs to be done yet.
It does not.
Yeah, it's to be a little more lean on the world building. You have to focus on things, and I think what's important in this arc is that Lanfear is cozying up to Rand and is influencing him. And in the books, what was interesting is that Moiraine had engineered, and I think this gets into book 3, but Moiraine had engineered for Rand to, she basically burned his wardrobe and gave him Lord's clothing.
Yeah.
She put him in the line of succession in the Great Hunt of the Horn, so that the Shinarans would follow him, because she knew a prophecy about an army at his back. And she was setting him up to be a lord. I think Lanfear is the one who's going to be doing all of this. We see Rand in a fancy coat. We see him strutting around. We see him very confident in the power. And then, to give spoilers for book 4, she even finds a teacher for him in the One Power. And it's not Logain, but Logain is a great candidate for it in this adaptation. So,
instead of Asmodean. Yeah. Do we think Logain is going to be the Asmodean?
I think he's going to do a little bit. I think he's going to help Rand level up a little bit.
I could see that, especially because it will keep Logain's character involved.
Yes. And he's such a cool guy, such a cool actor.
He's so, oh my gosh. And it again, casting flawless.
Yeah.
But I love this idea of making tweaks to the story to allow for characters that will have future roles and future importance to not frickin' disappear for 6 books and then come back, waltz in and be like, "Hey, remember me?"
Yeah.
Totally true, which is why I'm so sad Thom is not going to be in this,
I know.
but that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
But I think it's more likely that Logain is with the Amerlin seat. Like, they've captured him, they have him, her entourage is there, and then
that's good.
Rand gets tossed in to see him. Like, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't do what you're supposed to do. We're going to take you and gentle you and blah, blah, blah.
That could happen.
Oh, dude, jailbreak him and found the new tower. No, he's not. Never mind. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. One of my favorite things about the book is how time after time after time, Nynaeve does something nobody else has been able to do.
Yeah.
like in recorded history.
Yes.
And I love that about her. I love that for her character, and I want that to be an essential part of the character right now. She's already
Yeah, me too.
She's already well on her way with her first out of the gate healing.
Yeah.
Ooh, one other crazy idea I want to toss out there.
Oh,
Go for
yes,
it,
do
please.
it.
As I wonder if they're going to make Egwene and Elaine accepted right off the bat.
That's a good
Like,
question.
why would they bother doing all the testing and all that stuff multiple times? Like,
Yeah.
let's just make them all the same level and throw them out to do their thing. And then instead of, oh, we got to go back to the tower, like 2 years from now when they do the next season, and oh, now you need to be an accepted.
Good point.
Oh, interesting.
The only counter argument I'd offer is that they might want to spread out some of those scenes. Like Nynaeve's testing is going to have impact. We all presume she's going to be tested, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be really incredible. Doing it 3 times in a row might be a bit
No, so that's
much.
it. They're not going to do it. They're just going to
Yeah.
show
Okay,
Nynaeve's,
okay.
and then
Yeah.
this happened to the others, and then maybe throughout the next few
Although-
seasons, flashbacks or throwbacks or things like that.
Yeah. I can see, because the idea that, you are facing your fears is pretty significant, and the fears that they face.
Yeah.
So I could see it being, a short thing of acknowledging the accepted test without having to do a full thing.
Yeah, I mean, because even Egwene's are so out there. They're so prophetic. They have nothing to do with what's going on right now. So if they were going to test her now, I don't think they would delve too much into it.
And, they may just all be tested at the same time, and then we only see 2 of them in flashbacks or something like that.
Or maybe the test isn't even 3. Maybe it's only they go through it once.
Yeah.
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be.
We'll find out.
3 is a magic number, though.
Three
I
is
like
a magic
three.
number, yeah.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We have on Dragonmount an article that I wrote, and Thom DeSimone did a video adaptation of it and explored some deeper issues, all about the trailer, the first trailer, and some of the congruencies between the book and divergences from the book. So you may want to check that out too.
Yes.
So yeah, Nynaeve wielding the sword.
Yes.
The first thing I thought of when I saw that scene was that in the Great Hunt, they're on a ship with the Amyrlin, and they're talking about what they need to learn with the One Power. And Nynaeve says something like, what I'd do is I'd make a sword. And that's what I would do too if I needed to fight somebody or something like that. And the Amyrlin just kind of cocks an eyebrow and says, "Really? What would you do with the sword if I did this?" And then wraps her up in flows of air, and then shows her that I've got a warder to wield a sword for me if I need a sword.
Yeah.
We can do so much more. So I was wondering if that's the theme there, where Nynaeve is saying, there are other ways to solve problems that don't need your Aes Sedai ways, and you rejected my mentor, and so I reject you. And so maybe this sword scene was somehow a way of visually representing that rejection of Aes Sedai. What do you think?
Yeah, I
can see that. Yeah, definitely.
She's such a rebel anyway.
Yeah.
So I could see her doing the exact opposite of what they want her to do.
Yep.
Maybe not a rebel. Maybe stubborn. Stubborn is a better word.
Stubborn,
for it.
yes. Very stubborn, like all Two Rivers folk.
Yeah. One thing I was also really interested in, I know we talked about this in the beginning as speculation of what was going to happen with Moiraine and Lan. And they didn't have that big of a role in the book. But one thing that they did have is it's kind of a scene that's analogous to when Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings says, I've got a hunch. I'm going to go back to Saruman's library. I'm going to research some stuff, and I'm going to tell him about what I suspect about this ring that my friend Bilbo found. So, what happens in the book is Moiraine and Lan go back and they visit two retired Aes Sedai sisters, Adelius and Vandine. And, she's asking questions in a very circumspect way to not tip her hand that she knows that the dragon is extant and, wandering around the world. So she asks a lot about prophecies and stuff like that. And there's a lot of kind of backstory fill-in. There's for the reader, here's some of the prophecy stuff that's backing all of this. And then what happens is a warded Drakkar, a monster we haven't seen in the first season yet, comes by and tries to kill them. And the fact that it's been warded tips them off to the fact that there is such a thing as the Black Aja. Dark Friend Aes Sedai exist. Do you think that's going to be adapted in any way, that revelation? I haven't seen any casting for Adelius and Vandine.
Yeah, I thought the consensus was it'll be Varen instead.
Oh, that's very good.
Interesting.
That is very excellent. Because we know about Viren and her true nature. So, spoilers for later in the series, book 10.
Yes. Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that in particular. Like how they approach.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I forgot about Viren. Oh. I mean, I forgot she was cast for this season.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it makes sense that she would be the one. But it's interesting because in the novel, that scene is more about Lan and questioning his loyalty.
Oh, yeah.
And
big time.
Since, she's shielded and Lan's like her crutch now, I don't think that's going to be the focus. Like, I don't even think it'll come up.
Yeah.
This, do you still honor me, or are you going to run off to this, like, little girly whenever she calls?
the vines that have put cracks in his walls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit of a loss because you want some momentum in that romance. Although they've already done the deed. That's sealed already. So that's fine.
It's sealed. And hopefully he'll be able to give her the ring, Nynaeve. His Valkyrie King ring. Like, oh my God, yes, please.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that didn't happen in the when he did the Mashiara speech in the first episode. Or the first season. Did that not happen? I don't remember now.
No.
Yeah, there wasn't anything like that.
I think it's because the ring in the overarching, like, idea of things, the ring is, like a promise ring. It's another step of the relationship. Yep. Obviously, it's a promise to, nope, we can't be together type of a thing. So I think I can see it being the next step for their relationship, not necessarily
that's reasonable.
In the show yet.
Do you think they're going to intersect again, Lan and Nynaeve? Is he going to be?
No,
I
think they'll never see each other again.
Yeah. I mean this season because
probably not.
They didn't have a role in the book in the battle at Falme.
Yeah.
So, do you think they'll get there at all? And, like, what will their part of the climax of season 2 be?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Nynaeve might pull out the sword.
That would be awesome.
And speaking of swords, so we see High Lord Turok, who from the book is a blade master, and he unsheaths his sword, and he sees Rand's sword and says, let's see if the people on this side of the Aerith Ocean are as deserving of the Heron mark as we have back home. And the cool episode there is that Rand, having trained with Lan for so long, beats him in a fair sword fight.
I don't know about fair.
Well, fair enough.
I mean, not super cheating. He didn't use it.
He didn't use the power.
The one of power.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's also like Ta'Viren and the dragon. Like there was no.
Well, okay, fair enough. You're right.
Those are details that don't matter.
It's ultimately not fair because he's got plot armor, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he beats a blade master, and I think that shows the readers at that point just how much Lan has taught him.
Yeah,
I don't think we're getting Lan training Rand in the adaptation here.
Either.
I don't think we're getting the sword fighting training. So
right.
The one thing I hypothesized is, and I don't want this to happen, but will Turok be beaten by Lan?
Oh, interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
I don't see that.
I don't either.
unless like Lan is beaten by Turok, like, and Rand comes in to save the day. I don't know. I don't see that being a thing though.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes an interesting parallel with the last battle when Lan comes in to save the day when he fights Demon Dread. So I don't know if they'd want to pull that card twice.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can find links to follow us online in the show notes or on Dragonmount.com. On our website, we also have tons of incredible content about the Wheel of Time. Blog posts, chapter and episode summaries, news, as well as links to our YouTube channel that has a lot of great videos there, including the video version of this podcast, which is not our faces just on YouTube. But if you're listening to this on there, you know that that's there, and you probably aren't gonna go from here to there. But anyways, you will definitely find things to entertain you while we wait for the next season. This is not the ending, but it is an ending. Thanks for listening, and we hope you have an absolutely incredible day.